day. Realz did have a rogue, and he did have his warlock and his paladin. I think one of the new ones is druid or hunter. It's a little bit kind of hard to remember, hard to recall because the games do kind of bleed in. By the way, it seems like Realz has also picked up a little bit of festive spirits to relax because he seemed really intense, but with palm trees and whatever these instruments are called in his hands. I was going to call them moccasins. That's not what they are. But it seems like he's kind of chilled out a little bit and realized that he's in a pretty good position overall. I think he's kind of favored in this just because Forsen. By the way, we just got word that Forsen's POV. He unfortunately doesn't have it for the first two games. I think I was told that he forgot to record it. He forgot Alex Straza. He forgot to record the first two games. But the good news is we still have Real's POV because he remembered.
That's right. We have the Real's hand. So Forsen is kind of going on blind, so we won't be able to see his hand. But basically, we'll be able to feel what cards he has based on his on the cards he plays. At least I believe so.
This is interesting because all of a sudden it's like watching a stream and kind of watching how Reels is going to be able to do it, except without his spectacular commentary. We're going to try to analyze and see what he's conferring based off what his opponent's being able to play. Reels does have the coin, which is nice. You take away that extra card and the coin from the Miracle Rogue, so that way they can't get spells and more options to deal with things early on. So a little start here for Reels.
Yeah, on the other hand, he doesn't have the minions, so he has double True Silver Champion, which is basically 16 points of damage if you just go for face and attack Miracle Rogue. But he doesn't have the 2-drop, he doesn't have the Haunted Creeper, he will have to hero power. On the other hand, he has the Harvest Golem, which is not doing that much damage, but still, it's pretty hard to remove. And would you sub Harvest Golem? You probably don't, you just realize your plan being a Miracle Rogue.
No, Miracle Rogue, the best way they can deal with something like Harvest Golem is usually Deadly Poison and Shiv for 3 mana, and that way you effectively remove it while not losing cards, really. And on the flip side, I kind of liked the fact that Reels does have a way to answer Auctioneer. He has a quality, which is a creation alongside with it on 5 or 6 mana. So Reels does have tools to fight against Forsen early on, and while Pyromancer with a quality is even better, so you can save Consecration if you need it in a better situation.
On the other hand, he doesn't have the mid-range minions, so he has the answer to clear the board. He can probably clear the board even twice, but he will need something. He will need to get those cards, mid-range cards like Sludge Belcher, like Lothab, like even Black Knight, cards that he can play and push the board a bit to just deal some damage or defend himself.
Yeah, you're definitely right. You know, the tokens, they do annoy, but Rogue can deal with it every turn. Just hero powering, and even having that damage over 2 turns allows him to push out minions in response. So it is a slow start from Reels, and that's not what you want as Paladin. You want to be able to kind of force the removal out because they're saving things like backstab for their guide stand. But if you force them to, I believe it was 6, so he couldn't play anything whatsoever, even though the fact that he had gadget stands, right? He had like 1 Blade Flurry, and that was it.
Right now it's Forsen's 3rd turn, and we'll see if he is able to play a free drop, a Farseer, SI7, or something else to be able to stabilize with some kind of board. Because Forsen, he really wants to bait the removal out. He wants to play cards so that Reels is forced to clear.
Man, Forsen is taking a long time with these first couple of turns.
Well, he had a beer in his hand, so maybe he's just taking
He's slow rolling Reels already, huh? BMing to start off the series, not bad. Or did Forsen, for some reason, had a problem? Maybe he disconnected and had to reconnect. Hopefully that's not the case. He's able to stabilize. He ends up just attacking and passing. While Reels looks like he's going to have a very clear turn 3 just to load up the board with something. Play the Harvest Golem, pass it over. You have True Silver for whatever mid-range creature comes out, whether it's a 3/3 or even something like the Thalanos or Drake in the next coming turns.
I think you definitely play the Harvest Golem here. There's no need to coin out to True Silver, so just play Harvest, stabilize the board. But Reels is taking his time. He's counting the cards. He's thinking if he's going for the damage here. Well, maybe True Silver is actually interesting here because this is kind of a race. If you play True Silver, how much damage can you deal? So Reels is taking all those options into consideration here, just counting the cards, counting damage. We know that Reels is really getting into the game. He's not just playing card by card, he's mapping out the whole match, getting a couple of turns ahead of himself, and like just seeing what is your opponent going to play and countering this.
Now, speaking of countering it, I think Forsen taking a long time You think you're kind of wondering why doesn't he just play, but the Miracle Rogue really ponders about whether or not they can get away with attacking certain things, if they're going to re-dagger or they're going to play something just naked on the board if they feel comfortable with it. It's very clear that Forsen had the opportunity to just attack last turn and play something like SI7 Agent without actually dealing damage, but instead he wants to get value off of his minion. So these kind of decisions do take a little bit of time, even though it seems like an obvious play. You do want to play out the course of your next few turns, just like you mentioned.
Yeah, certainly Miracle Rogue is not an easy deck to play. There's a lot of cards you can play every turn, but depending on on what you get, what you draw, you make those decisions. It's either just dealing some damage, getting value out of the cards, or just digging for the answers, digging for the combo. Because the thing about Miracle Rogue is that the cards themselves are really weird. Like you sometimes end up with those preparation cards that just do nothing. You really need Gadgets and Auctioneer to make the deck tick. It's like a lot. People commented on the deck that when you get all those single cards, all of them are pretty weak, like just bad cards that you will never play. Like there is no value in them, but just the combinations that Miracle Rogue provides make the whole 30-card deck really strong.
Oh my, Realz drops the Loatheb. And I think this is because he prioritizes killing off the SI7 agent, but he realizes Sludge Belcher will be extremely vulnerable to something like a 5 damage Eviscerate, which is likely based off what Rogue usually keeps on their usually draws into, and you don't want to kind of have an easy removal for a 5 mana cost creature. So Realz drops Loatheb before he sees anything like Gadget Sand. Do you have any opinions on this, Nibs?
Yeah, I feel like this was a pretty nice play here because, well, exactly what your opponent can play. You feel like there's no way he will play Gadget Sand because of Loatheb. And the only card he can play is Azure Drake, but then again, he can easily answer Azure Drake with True Silver Champion. So it's kind of like forcing your opponent to play Azure Drake if he has one, to be able to answer it easily. On the other hand, now Forsen can actually play Gadgets and Conceal if he has them. But again, Realz can answer those cards.
Yeah. I think it's really intelligent the more I think about it, forcing these reactions, but he's not opting for the true silver play. Instead, he's looking to drop the Sludge Belcher.
Humility.
And humility combination. Yep.
Right.
And it makes sense. It makes sense, you know, the fact that he can continue pushing and develop the board, it's acting like 3 damage anyways. He can choose over next turn and accomplish the same exact thing. The Gadget Sand is out for Forsen, and the chain draws will begin. Preparation to lead off. I believe he has 1 more mana at least after he plays his 1 spell, Fan of Knives, and he might have something like Conceal.
Still, even if there is no Conceal or if the Gadget Sand is cleared, Forsen was able to cycle his preparation, which is useless otherwise. He was able to cycle Fan of Knives and get 2 cards out of it, and again cycle Conceal. So Forsen was able to switch like 4 cards from his hand for that Gadget Sand. Also, Equality Consecration is good in here, but then again his minions are vulnerable to another Fan of Knives or even a Shiv.
Yeah, but he just saw his opponent use it. You're trying to deny your opponent's draw as much as possible. This is an absolute necessary measure. There's no need to kind of use anything like Pyromancer either, because you don't want to give up your own minions.
It's pretty interesting, like Forsen is actually dropping pretty low with 70 points of health, and the Shiv and Shiv exactly as a cold.
Yep.
And the backstab as well, so Forsen getting value out of those small cards and a big Edwin.
Wow. He's seen humility, he's seen equality, so he's trying to kind of play into another win condition. Sure, maybe he doesn't draw a lot of cards, but is there a big is there a response to a big minion like the Van Cleef? Realz might draw it. Something like Peacekeeper at the top would be massive, but he doesn't get it.
This was a pretty sick play by Forsen. He's seen equality, he's seen humility as well. So right now, Realz is forced to actually raise the 8/8 Edwin, a weapon, and almost full hand from Miracle Rogue, who just cycled a lot of those small useless cards into something better.
And he might have Leroy combos to finish the game. There's 11 on board, and then there's only 15 left to pair, so just double Shadow Step is enough, and he does have the mana, I believe he's on 9. So he can end the game if he has a combination, but Forsen's hesitation kind of indicates he probably doesn't have it, or that he's probably 1 damage away from it.
Forsen is still sitting safely on 2 more turns, because Realz is playing more like a control-ish mid-range deck. He has 6 damage on board, Yeah, but this is not enough to kill Forsen. It's still... There's 7 more needed to actually clear the board and kill Forsen. And the Lothab drop is really devastating here. It's exactly the turn that you steal your opponent so that you grant yourself a win next turn.
Yeah, basically, again, force your opponent to have something more. The Owler Peacekeeper, he would need to have 2 of them in order to kind of reduce this damage. It stings because once again, Realz is just stuck playing super defensive, loading up whatever he can, attacking, trying to gain health. His opponent, once again, represents 13, so now the condition just becomes Leroy, Shadow Step, and a hero power.
The thing is, if Forsen actually gets a board clear here... Oh my god, there is a Leroy. This means only one thing.
That the game is over and has been decided. Shadow Step has been shown, which means all Forsen needs is a hero power to end the game, because there is 13 on board. So Realz will drop the Paladin, which has served tried and true. Wait, he had double Shadow Step? Oh my goodness.
Oh my god, this is overkill.
Uh-oh. Is he going to do anything else for us? Maybe a preparation, Fan of Knives, and, I don't know, backstab your own Leroy at this stage. What is it? It's going to be a sap.
This is so sick. Realz was really wrecking Group A with a 9-1 score, but here he faces Forsen, who was advancing from Group B, and Forsen is starting with a 5 damage overkill to eliminate